6:30.
All right. You can catch
Call
up with
meeting
your-
to order.
Yeah,
Huh?
we can do certain things.
Yeah.
Yeah, alarm, yeah.
Public appearances. Approval of minutes.
I move to approve.
I'll second.
Motion is second to approve the minutes. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Me.
Motion carried. And we have John is laid up with a broken ankle and Christie's in South America.
Oh,
So it's just the four of us.
all right.
Four important people there. Five important people.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The important people are here.
Yeah.
He wasn't including it.
Discuss and consider approval of January financial reports.
Looking at it, there's seen some high numbers there, but at least there's ones that just come out every now and then out of the budget.
Yeah. Everybody pay their first assessment.
Yeah, Deerfield finally got it in.
Better late than never.
Yeah,
After I had to email Liz and say,
yeah.
was your assessment coming? And she's like, well, I usually get this letter, and she sent me last year's, and I was like, yeah, I sent it to you on the 26th of December, and you responded saying thank you.
Oh.
It's like, oh, I'll get to it. Yeah, so yes, they all came in. We got them all.
I move to approve.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion is second to approve the January financial reports. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Discuss and consider approval of budgeted approved expenses. Anybody have any questions on anything?
No, they were sure to put the cheapest batteries they can in them ambulance when
Yeah, I
they
think-
first make them.
Yeah, and Wendy put in her vehicle report that they are going with a little bit more expensive type of battery or whatever. That'll last a whole lot longer too.
Yeah,
That Marine?
Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever it was in her report, I can't remember offhand.
yeah, these are.
Don't you get a warranty on the batteries for so many?
They should be, what do they call it, prorated,
Yeah, I'm not from.
but then it depends on where you go get them too, some places aren't.
Have to take them back to Canada.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I didn't have anything, so I'll make a motion to approve them as presented.
Second.
Motion is second to approve the January bills as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Yeah, I was looking for Deerfield there and it wasn't
Oh,
there.
oh, no,
I wondered if you were good for your money or not.
Yeah,
yeah,
they just sent it like right after I left on vacation, so it
Oh,
didn't quite
yeah.
make January.
oh, yeah,
Yeah.
Otherwise I'd give you a real hard time.
yeah, yeah.
Discuss and consider approval of write-off and aging of accounts.
Looks
No
good.
write-offs?
I was gonna say though, this looks pretty good for
Yeah,
what we took in 2018 compared to 17 and already January.
yeah,
Yeah, I think January kind of makes up for the low December too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I thought.
Yeah.
yeah, and they had a heck of a number of calls this last month. I mean, there was a couple days, just like this last weekend, I think last Friday, or no, what day was that funeral? Wednesday? I think on Tuesday they had 10 calls. I know they had at least 5 on Wednesday, and I think the next day they had 10. 10 again, they're way above.
Well,
only had
but we didn't
73.
have,
Yeah.
we didn't have many calls in January though. January
okay,
was pretty
January's
quiet.
pretty
Only
quiet.
72 calls, and we've been averaging 100 almost a month.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was pretty low for
Yeah.
January, so we're making up for it.
Well, I helped. They helped me on one night. Well, it was the weekend after our last meeting.
I'll move to approve.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second to approve the aging of accounts. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I suppose we need to wait for them for staff reports
I suppose.
Yeah.
and everything else.
Don't be in correspondence.
He might, I don't know, did we have any or does he have it with him?
I don't know of any, but I don't know if he got anything that like didn't come via mail at all.
Well, we could start to look,
Yeah, you guys can start looking at
we
the,
could look at it, and then if we got any questions when he gets
Yeah.
here.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which one do you want to start with? The
Staff,
Yes, staff
clarify time off for employee in the employee handbook?
report. Cool, yeah, we could do that, yeah, put it
Yeah.
on them, yeah.
And he, I think, was going to be bringing along the sick time policy
Oh,
because
okay.
there was still some back and forth with Dan about something, so this just is the vacation, and I don't know where the sick time is at. I unfortunately have not crossed paths with him in forever.
I'm just kinda curious as to why,
Yeah.
after we just went through the contract negotiations. What,
Me?
what about me?
Because this, I'm not part of the contract negotiation,
yeah.
so this is what's in the handbook.
Yeah,
Ooh, okay.
So that's
Yeah.
how this came up
Well, then
is,
that answers my question.
it originally
Yeah.
said 6 days of vacation, which was really based off of a 24-hour shift. But 6 days is 1 week for me, 6 days
Right,
for
no,
him.
no,
So that's how it came
It's really-
about.
It's really only a 2 week, or a
so this is the
60 hours.
handbook, not the,
week and a half.
Yes,
from-
yes, not the CBA, correct,
Okay.
yep.
No, but isn't this 7.5 weeks?
Yeah, probably close to that.
What's county?
Huh?
What do you get at the county?
Right now, I'm getting,
You get too many.
should have seen it, but, I think I'm getting close to that 300 mark right now.
Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we did this proration based off of what's in the contract,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah. And this is still less than what the
Yeah, it's-
contract people get, like.
yeah, hours wise,
Yeah,
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 in
hour-
total
yeah.
hours, because we're based on, you know, an 8-hour day
Day
versus a
versus
20.
12, yeah, 24-hour shift. Yeah, so actually I was, I was okay with this when I looked at it with them.
so this really only pertains to you,
Yeah, her and the chief.
or the chief too.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, see, the full-time will be the chief.
But the chief, yeah, what do we put in his? We can put a separate amount in his, I think.
To start.
Because his is in his contract.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and my
Yeah.
contract simply says in
And-
accordance with the handbook.
Yeah.
That's what I say, the chief's gotta follow what's in his
Yeah.
agreement.
Do you remember what's in that?
No, but I don't think it's this much.
Oh, okay.
But he'll just have, that's what he signed,
Yeah, because
and
that's
at the end of the year,
Yeah.
Yes.
he would be able to
Yeah, because
Yeah.
renegotiate.
Yeah,
this ends up being 15 days, which is what is in his agreement now.
Okay.
Because if you had taken truly what was in there and prorated it, it would have been 18 days for me. And I was like, 18's I'm not pushing for 18. More than 6. I should get more vacation hours than I get sick hours.
Everything's better than a state employee, so I won't even
Yeah. Of course, then you got the county, you got your top person in the county is on TV tonight, lying right through his teeth again too.
Who?
Mr. Precy. About the CNG gas that we're burning in our county trucks. That's
Oh.
coming from the landfill.
Yeah, right.
They're putting 28 million in the landfill just to see if we can burn it.
Any comments on Dan's comment on back page, that last sentence?
I don't think you should change it to that myself, I think, you know. And do we want to do it in 4 hour, I assume 4 hour increments?
That's what I was thinking,
Yeah,
is
it's
maybe
half a day.
4 hours
Yeah.
would be,
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
would be appropriate.
Yeah, it should still just say half-day increments, because my half-day is,
Yeah, it's
No.
here.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some days you're here 3 hours and some days you're here 6 or whatever, right? I
Mhm.
mean,
yeah. And that's kind of the hard thing with me, is I don't have like a set
Yeah.
Yeah.
schedule. It's
Yeah,
when can
I-
I get here and get it done?
I think, yeah,
So
as they wish does not,
replace that last sentence with what Dan had for non-bargaining unit employees. Vacation time may be used in no less than 4 hour increments.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what the last sentence there said that he had put in. Employees are permitted to use their vacation time as they wish, but can take vacation in no less than half-day increments.
I think though, the as they wish is still, as, I've never seen as they wish.
Yeah,
No.
I
I
think,
think that was Dan's problem with it.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
I don't like, okay.
as approved by their
Oh, yeah.
Supervisor.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, got it.
Yeah, especially in this field, because to get somebody to come in to, who you gonna find come in for an hour to cover a space, you know? They'll come in for 4, but
And then his comment about the 12-hour increments not being in the CBA.
Yeah, the new labor agreement, I'm pretty sure specifies 12 hours. I think it says half-day increments. Do I have them on with me?
Because he was saying I can just cut and paste that verbiage if that is best.
Yeah, for them, because they're here 24 hours, right?
Mm-hmm.
The shift is 24 hours.
Yeah,
So it would be a half a day
Mm-hmm.
this versus someone who's working 8 hours or 4 hours.
yeah.
Yeah, like Greg just said,
Yeah.
it's hard to get someone to come in for 2 hours or
Mhm. Oh,
something
yeah.
like
Mhm.
that, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
if they need coverage.
Mhm. Yeah, it'll be easier to pick up that 12 hours and 7.5 than, or an LTE to come in.
And I don't know if the verbiage, this is still the old contract, but I'm not sure the verbiage changed in the new contract for this, but it does say employees are permitted to utilize their vacation as they wish, but can take vacation in no less than half-day increments. And I don't think that was changed in the new contract.
the way I read it, I thought he was saying that he didn't think it was
Well,
in the CBA.
Oh, here.
yeah, he's got in here, yeah. The 12-hour part of the sentence is not in the CBA.
It should be consistent with that CBA though.
Yeah.
So we should
Yeah, it just saves headaches in the long run.
cut.
Yep.
Cut and paste that in there. So everything else is okay?
Yep, I think so.
So would,
Oh,
I suggest we rewrite, have this redone and bring it up at the next meeting in finalized form.
hey,
I-
welcome.
And make 2 changes to I
Tables
that
out, and
Right.
the floor, and no one said that I was crazy for doing it today either.
Yeah.
is that your motion?
That's my motion.
Okay.
Motion and a second to correct I with the changes that we just talked about and bring it back at the next
On
month's
the
meeting.
vacation policy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, who was the motion the second? I was,
Gary
I made it.
and Troy.
Second.
thank you.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Okay, now we can go back to the staff report.
You have notes of what's supposed to change?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's really nothing. It's just this.
Take it out?
No, to make it the same as what's in the CBA,
Oh.
whatever the CBA.
Well, I guess my opinion would be, and from talking to the attorney, is if it's in the CBA, it doesn't need to be in our policy.
No, this is for non-representative.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, yeah.
Well, part of it was,
Part of it was, yeah, the top one wasn't, yeah. The first one,
One is bargaining unit, and the
Yeah,
second
second one.
paragraph is,
Yeah.
The others.
So
Yeah.
this, I think, is what's in the CBA. So
Right.
we just want it to say the same thing, but just for employees and not bargaining unit is all.
Okay, all right.
That's all.
And then the sick time thing?
We didn't get there yet.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Staff report.
Staff report, no.
You're on it.
Yeah.
You're on now.
All right. Get to the proper page. All right, so 72 calls for the month, down a little bit from 2018. Seemed like countywide everybody was a little down, so don't know what the effect of that was.
Those go outside.
Yeah.
Well, that could be too, or government was shut down, so everyone thought we were shut
Yeah.
down, who really knows? Membership did increase by 1. We, actually earlier this month, brought on 1 volunteer as a paramedic, who hopes to transition to part-time. LT, yes. Okay, so my report. So along with some of the staff going to WEMSA, I also went just for 1 morning session with the state EMS office to get a kind of an idea of what the trend is going to be or where they're going with operational planning and some of the data they're collecting at the state office. Unfortunately, it was kind of more of a sales pitch than anything that's actually happening because it's all about things that are for the future than not actually going on right now. Was also able to meet with Jerry and walk the vendor floor and maybe get some ideas of where we could go for either possible future equipment or ways to try to save money with current equipment that we have. Saw some cool stuff. Unfortunately, the cool stuff costs money. And sometimes a lot of it. We held an officers meeting to discuss kind of my first month, things that I have observed, and maybe some things that we could do and get them together as a group to see if there's anything that I might not have identified that I should have. So we came out with some things to improve on, and in Jerry's report we rolled out a new email platform that hopefully works better for us. We have some minor growing pains. They don't seem to be very much.
We've gotten them worked out.
So
was that free?
yes, what we have is free. If we want to buy more, it will be a little bit, but not a lot of money.
Milk the cows.
Yeah.
They're mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have an office platform, and the office platform through our relationship with the association is free to the 501c3.
Oh, okay.
If we choose for some of us that we want to have downloadable products onto our computers, that's going to be like $3 a month per person. So we're looking at potentially under $20 a month to have downloadable office products, but it's still less than what we're paying from what Jerry told me for the GoDaddy platform.
Yeah.
But it gets us a calendar, it gets us Word and Excel and all the things that most of the staff didn't have before. So the challenge for me, as I was asking some people to do some tasks, is that they didn't necessarily have the the right tools to be able to complete some of those tasks effectively.
Okay.
So now we have a shareable calendar. From using Office for probably 5 years, there's like 5,000 apps I didn't even know that they offered. So we're exploring some of those now. Some are kind of trinkety type apps. Others are the one that we've tested a little bit is called Teams, where we're able to kind of use it as our informal communication mechanism. It's a lot like a business place Facebook, where it's kind of instant messaging and whatnot. So we're exploring those things. So we met together as a group, those that had a voice in the Class A uniform tailoring, to decide what the parameters of the Class A uniform, what it should be. And then took that and reached out to the salesperson that we had spoken to from Lark Uniform last year, and also to 2 other vendors. And each of those vendors have gotten not only an initial contact, but a second contact for me. And they'll get a third one in their final opportunity. We're probably going to have to go with the local vendor. The local vendor is advantageous to us. His office is in Madison. So he's able to come and measure us as part of the service. Whereas the other ones are more mail order-ish. So you have to either measure yourself or find someone to measure you and hope and pray that it's right.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have someone measure you, then it's kind of on that
them.
guy. Ross and I met with Georgia Punzwick. She is the leader, director person for the Cottage Grove Neighborhood Memory Cafe, which meets at the Hope Lutheran Church. They meet with people that are early in the spectrum for dementia and Alzheimer's, to kind of get them out of the house, get them in the group together. Part of it is to help give the caregivers a little bit of a break as a group. They actually had talked to us about giving a presentation. So they initially thought that we could give an October presentation for Fire Prevention Week. We steered a little bit towards May, which is has EMS Week in it, so that we can have a more EMS focus to it than fire prevention, and hopefully leave October for the fire department to do a fire prevention meeting. We also set up that they have coffee and donuts or strudel or whatever they do as a kind of a visiting time to start off the meeting, and we said that we'd attend that portion of it even when we're not giving a presentation, just to make contact. This does kind of work into our Wisconsin Alzheimer's Initiative stuff that we're working on. I had Spectrum to both stations. I thought that Spectrum was going to be super awesome to work with based off of my Deerfield station experience, because I called them, they said we'll be there at noon. They were there at noon. They fixed everything that needed to be fixed. They then made an appointment for the next day, and then I waited for the next day and the next day and made more appointments, and now we're to the point of that they're supposed to call me and tell me if they fix anything in Cottage Grove. I will call them back like a 10th time. But they identified through the phone lines that there were external to the building problems with the internet coming into us. So it would be internet and phone. What they determined was an outside problem with some of the infrastructure outside coming into the building in Deerfield. So they were able to fix that. And it seemed, at least from what I've heard, the internet was better than it was before. That's our biggest thing, is making sure that we have stable internet, and ensuring that what we are paying for is what we're getting. So their beef with the Cottage Grove things is that they say it's an outside problem and they don't need to tell us when they work on it because it's their problem. I'm like, but it's a service we pay for, so
Doesn't need to work.
right.
The service you paid for, and you need to know if it's
Yeah.
gonna go down.
Yeah.
Then you shut it
So
down.
Check
the weather has been pretty. I did check on that stuff. Would you like to know the numbers for those things?
No.
Actually, I didn't check TDS. I checked on fiber from Spectrum. We could get fiber in Deerfield, no fee to us. The monthly service charge is $3.99, and we're about $120-ish right now for a monthly service charge in Deerfield. The bill for fiber to Cottage Grove Station 1 would be $40,000
$40,000.
plus $3.99 a month.
That's an easy decision. Isn't it?
Right?
You made
It's,
it.
You're paying for it?
That's a no. That's a no.
isn't there fiber right out in front of the fire station over there?
Well, They pay for the first 10,000, so
Oh, yeah?
of construction, and that's why in Deerfield it would be free because the bill would be less than 10,000.
Oh, yeah.
I think they said it was something like 450 feet away.
Oh, yeah.
So we already talked about Office 365. We put in an application to get additional stroke funding from the Coverdell Stroke Program. We joined that late last year. And earlier this year, they had put out an application so that in regard to stroke education, we could get more granting to help pay for some of the efforts that we're doing with those. I think all that, the Coverdell, the Memory Cafe, and the Wisconsin Alzheimer's Institute will all kind of work well together. Lisa and I met with not only Bob, the director of Cambridge EMS, but also some of the training staff, just as a kind of get to know each other type meeting, say, hey, how's it going? They have probably some growing pains now that we've experienced as an
They have
organization.
more money, do they?
I mean, we suggested some things we could do for them,
Yeah.
but there was no monetary requests at that particular point in time. I was open-minded, not exactly knowing what to expect, and came out of both with having had good meetings. Obviously, just kind of meeting each other and no actual decisions being made about anything.
Any
Just
idea as to how many full-time staff they have now?
they say 6, but I don't know what that means in regard to scheduling. Because whether that be that they're doing some arrangement of 12-hour shifts, we didn't get that far into it.
Are they paramedic yet or not?
They are not.
But are they running paramedic at times?
No, that's part of their thing is
Yeah.
that. So they applied for paramedic flexible staffing, which is a new initiative that had passed the legislation, but it has no administrative rule attached to it yet. So the administrative rule is what would tell them how and when and where and what they must do. Well, without the administrative rules, they can't move forward. At least locally and with Bob's stature, if you will. He's attempted to flex that as much as he can, but they're kind of at a stalemate right now. Back to the top thing with the state office is now that with a new governor, basically the state office says we have about something like 2 weeks to a month to learn how the new governor wants us to do business before we can actually move
Right.
forward. So I'm sure that's also part of what their paramedic stuff is all about as well. We talked with training, we talked about maybe some collaboration where their staff can attend our trainings or our staff could attend their trainings. We're of the mindset that anything that we would go and do with Cambridge would be ancillary and above and beyond what we're already doing for our staff. Our staff are required to come to our training and gather and get all the training through us. And then if they choose to get more, then it can be from outside sources like St. Mary's or Cambridge or wherever else. Talked about the new volunteer. Training report. Our January training was postponed due to weather. So the training was supposed to be salt triage and new bags that we had gotten from the county. For triage, we're going to work that into upcoming months training so that we don't have to completely reinvent the wheel and have a big night. So that we'll spread those hours out with an additional also training meeting in March, but it won't necessarily have to be quite as long.
So you'll have 2 in March?
Yes.
The 4th Monday and
Second Monday.
Yeah.
2nd Monday?
The 11th is the other one.
All right, Jerry and Lisa are in EMS today.
They must be on their way back. She just checked in with you.
Lisa had texted me today and said that it was a very good session and that she would recommend if I could get out there next year that I should. Wisconsin Active Threat Integrated Response Conference, that's in Oshkosh. That's yesterday and today. Devin and Ross went. We sent them as representatives of our department. What this training is a grouping of all of the active threat responders from the state where they collaborate and learn from each other on what the best way to respond to the mass shootings active threats are. Those are things that As an EMS organization, we have to be aware of. Unfortunately, we can't lead that stuff. We have to kind of work with the police department because they're the ones that are going to lead the active threat responses, and we're going to hopefully help them tailor their response to how we can operate within those systems. So the date for the Dementia 101, unfortunately, I wrote this, or we wrote this, and literally the day after, Molly called and said, hey, there's a conflict, we're not going to be able to have it that day. So it's looking like it's going to happen March 6th. March 6th in the afternoon is the way it's looking. There's another meeting for I don't think we found out until after this as well, but another meeting for the I-90 construction that day.
Oh.
So I think what we'll have to do is we'll kind of have to divide and conquer, where Lisa and Ross and Jerry and Wendy will go to the dementia training, all of it, and then I'll go to the I-90 meeting because we need to know about I-90, but the Alzheimer's training is important as well. And the Wisconsin Paramedic Seminar, March 20th, 21st, 22nd in Oshkosh, training opportunity. Madison International Speedway training, or April 6th. Comprehensive Airway Management Program, April 16th. And the Midwest EMS Expo, April 25th and 26th in Minneapolis.
You don't have the Wisconsin Emergency Management and Homeland Security Conference on here.
I did kind of sign up for that, didn't I?
I don't know, did you?
I thought I might have. I need to write that down because I saw it.
Shameless plug.
Yeah.
But
And-
no, your past incident's gonna be one of the presentations.
When is that?
The 21st and 22nd.
Of April?
But we also have people from Vegas coming to talk, and the hospital people talk about what it was
Their
like
experience.
to go through with having 500 people show up at the hospital.
Sure.
80% of the people came by private vehicles.
Also not on here, April 10th is EMS Day at the Capitol. I just found out about that too. So it's EMS advocacy for the state of Wisconsin at the state capitol. Training center, no classes taught in July. Upcoming classes, we have.
January.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's cold,
Thank you for
July.
Let's not
catching
get too close to winter again. I'm feeling it.
it. Skipped over all the good months.
Yeah.
All right, so April 2nd was a CPR class for Cottage Grove Courts. March 26th, Summit Credit Union. We actually have a meeting with them on Monday about the training that they would like us to tailor for them. It sounds like we're going to provide a variety of training, not only some certification, but some awareness type stuff. We're going to meet with their training folks on Monday to try to iron those out.
When are they going to the new building, do you know?
Ribbon cutting's March 4th.
No?
Open house. What, next week, Monday.
Yeah, not that far away.
No.
Cottage Grove Courts, April 6th, and Community CPR, June 1st. Public Relations, special events. Held a Cub Scout tour at the Deerfield Station with a first aid presentation. A first aid presentation is being planned for the Girl Scouts in March 7th. It's going to be. Other upcoming events, Summit Credit Union, that's the February 25th with our tour and schedule. Dane County Cardiac Arrest Survivor Banquet, that's this Saturday. We had 3 saves with 3 separate crews. One of those survivors is going to be there, so that crew will be able to see that person again. My intent is during EMS week to honor them with an award at this meeting in May. So,
For the size of our service, is that pretty good?
what's that?
Yeah.
For the size of our service, is that pretty good, I would think?
Yeah. So 3 and 2, I believe, were in our response area. 1 was in Cambridge. So I mean, statistically, saves are difficult to come by. So anytime you can, it's good for you. As a provider, I've only had a handful in my career, so that's a year or two. So Dane County, or Deer Grove EMS will host the Mavis meeting on the 27th at the Cottage Grove Fire Station. Parkinson's 5K Half Marathon April 6th. High School Career Day April 7th, 17th. And what we'll be doing with that is that we'll have staff, a kind of a mixture of staff attend that. So we're hoping to get a paramedic, a volunteer EMT, and maybe an LTE to all come out and answer questions for the staff to be able to kind of get a variety of responses to their questions. Ragnar Relay, May 18th. Cottage Grove Memory Cafe, May 22nd, and that will be our presentation day. And then the ARCA race at MIS on June 14th. Community paramedic report. There were several regularly scheduled events. January 7th, Medic 80 out on a call and could not attend. 8 attendees for Taylor Ridge on January 8th, and the 9th at the Deerfield Community Center with no information relayed from the crew that attended that. We're moving forward with the Wisconsin Alzheimer's Initiative Institute grant. With our training to be scheduled. The first Dementia 101 training will be a 3.5 hour training. Then there'll be a questioning class that'll be about 6 hours, and that'll be the kind of the meat and bones of the training we'll get. So IT, new email and office software program for the Surface Research procured and implemented, no cost to the service itself. Pager inventory was completed and determine the number and to determine the number and current programming of pagers. Jerry met with Chief Sewell of the Deerfield Fire Department to talk about potential IT efficiencies between the both departments. Those are still in process. I think we have the ability to maybe combine some services and save both of our departments some money moving forward. And Jerry worked with me to figure out what our IT infrastructures are. Supplies and inventory. Project has begun to inventory the ambulances, label placement, and provide power levels in an easy to follow format for staff. This is important for me, as I think when we have LTE staff that works, they need to know what's supposed to be in a spot and how much is supposed to be there, and that it's kind of standard in all locations. Continue to work or to make inventory more efficient and cost effective for the district. That's something that Jerry and I are continually working on, is looking at what we're stocking and kind of how much it's costing, and if there's a potential alternative that might cost less. For instance, our medical supplier has a proprietary manufacturer called Cureplex that you can buy. You could buy the name brand for $5 or the Cureplex manufactured for $1. And it's just a matter of researching those types of things and make sure that we're not only getting the product that we want to use, but that we can use at a lesser cost potentially. So Jerry also attended WEMSA with some of his classes and the vendor expo. And he's got all the old lots of equipment together for sale.
Cleaning up that room in the basement.
Yeah. Once he gets back, that's my next priority, so that we can make sure to clean that up and start to use it for hopefully training is my goal. So the ambulances, Medic 78, starting mileage 29,123, ending 3245. Starting hours, I guess you guys can read that. I don't really need to read it out loud.
You gotta read it off.
Preventive maintenance was completed. Eco idle was shut off. We had to confer with Demers on that, and they helped us out remotely. One of the engine batteries was found to be bad, so it was replaced, and both of the house batteries were in need of replacement, so we worked on both of those. That's it for 78. It's scheduled to get its repair March 5th. Medic 81. I know it got driven a little bit. I drove it myself. Anyway, so it was put in service, but it really only got driven around the block and never actually went on any calls. The intent is that it's going to go into service while 78 is out for repair, and then will be in service for some days so that it can get some use and get everyone familiar with how it works. The car has a tire that might need to be replaced. My understanding is those are original tires from 2013, so
Yep.
even if we didn't have a tire leaking error, they're probably due for replacement. Which, from speaking to Wendy, they are scheduled for replacement, so good that they're leaking now and not like 5
I
years
don't know where
ago.
we get this from, but we'll do a plug for our guy in town.
Okay.
He matched, I needed tires in a hurry. He matched any place in Madison,
Yeah.
and I was in there at 9:30, and by noon, he had the new tires on my vehicle, where Costco said 2 weeks.
Yeah, yeah. No, he's pretty good down here. He'll to match prices.
Yeah.
And boy, I tell you, he worked on the wife's car. They spent all day on it. They couldn't get it fixed. And he says it's got to go in and be, electronically done. He says, I don't have the, capability of doing that. What do you do? Nothing. He says, I couldn't fix it.
Nice. Yeah, with all of the responsibilities that the staff have for purchasing, I've just tried to say, hey, I know we have reasons that we've gone maybe outside of the community to do some purchasing, but let's try to bring it back and purchase whatever locally we can. They pay for us to be here. Let's in return give the favor back. So Medic 80 had its routine maintenance. The deer collision was estimated, paid for to us minus the deductible, and all repaired already, so that's all done. It was convenient, and that the same day that they said that they had the parts in and could fix it, we discovered a coolant leak on one of the coolant lines that goes from the engine to the patient care box. So that same day, basically took it over there, they repaired everything. The coolant leak repair was like $150 or something like that. But it's something that we'll have to evaluate on Medic 80 to make sure that it is not also rubbing on that same spot of the chassis to prevent it from happening on that. And there's the statistics on the back.
Any correspondence?
None this month.
All right, then we're back at clarifying time off in the employee handbook.
We did that.
We're done with that.
I think it's the sick policy.
Oh, sick policy. Oh.
That's sick.
So I have a clean one here. And what I did after I gave that one to Manny is I just took the liberty of saying what the maximum accrued hours are based off of the way I interpreted it. What it was down here was, if you look in yours, it was listed as 50.
Vacation or sick time. They only have the
Yeah, we don't get
vacation.
the sick.
Yeah.
Oh, I
They don't
didn't-
have
I
the
didn't
sick one. You
send-
didn't give it to me.
What?
You said you would bring it along.
I thought I sent them both. My fault.
No.
Okay, so here's the clean one. I don't have the write-up version of it with me. But basically, what was commented on for Mr. Barker, the only thing that was left after we went through everything was, again, anything that was in the collective bargaining agreement didn't need to be in here. So anything that referenced the collective bargaining agreement got removed. So what he recommended in line B, so procedure eligibility, paragraph B, was that there would be an accrual maximum set. Based off of how I read in section 2, paragraph C, was that the intent was that the maximum be $960 and then half of that be paid out. But it was a little ambiguous whether the maximum was $960 or the maximum paid out was $960. So I just interpreted that the intent was the maximum accrued was going to be $960, and then the maximum payout would be $480. So I'm correct.
Yeah.
That is something that should probably also go into the next collective bargaining agreement to be clarified. And the only other question left to answer is at the very bottom. Sick leave may be used to extend bereavement leave, but not for more than how many days?
Do we have a definition of who gets bereavement leave?
Oh, you mean for who,
What-
for,
For what relation?
Yes.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, it's in the policy.
Yeah, yeah.
I typed it into that one time, but
Yeah, it's in the policy. It's,
great,
Yeah.
great aunt didn't qualify.
yeah.
You know
I
what,
don't know if anyone great aunts qualify. Well, I
Even
mean,
my old job, we got a day for great aunts and uncles.
right. But the thing of it is it doesn't qualify for the benefit that you would pay to the staff of bereavement
Yeah.
leave,
Right.
but they would be still allowed to use sick leave as bereavement.
But obviously, we need a definition of who,
Yeah, it's in there.
yeah, okay.
In the bereavement leave
Yeah.
policy.
So how many days?
Great aunt's cat.
yeah, cause this is for the full-time staff, I would,
Usually what I've seen is,
But this would be not for bereavement leave itself. This would be for sick leave to extend the bereavement leave you've already
yeah,
provided.
yeah,
but usually sometimes they specify that if it's in town or you've got to travel.
yeah,
You know, like my parents are living in Florida and,
yeah. You have to travel. to
or they
Florida.
live in Cottage Grove.
Yeah,
I don't
So I've
think we
seen
ever
him-
make that distinction.
I
Yeah.
think that becomes difficult to say. Well,
Yeah.
then who has to decide what that delineating factor is? Is it
Yeah.
a certain?
I might be more devastated even though my mom died and she lives in Cottage Grove versus
Yeah,
these
yeah.
strange parents that are in Florida and now you
yeah.
gotta go and, you know.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
So what is the bereavement, regular bereavement? Is that 1 day, 2 days?
it's actually one 24-hour shift,
Okay.
because then they're
and-
off. If,
Or can we say up to this much time in extenuating circumstances as approved by the chief and discussed with the commission chair or something? You might have that extenuating thing where
Yeah.
they do need to travel to
yeah,
No, I
Yeah.
to
But this
California
is-
or Florida or Arizona.
but this is actually for non-bargaining, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah, yeah, for
Right.
non-bargaining. So that'd be, you know, like your regular day working.
Yeah, but still, that's what I'm just
yeah,
saying,
so
that's
we-
more, you know, because maybe I gotta travel down to Arizona and,
Yep.
you know, my parents, you know, I gotta make the arrangements.
Well, you could have X number of days and then additional days by chief and commission chair.
Concurrence or
You
whatever.
know, to look at those, you know,
Yeah.
rather than put all those
Right,
circumstances in here.
that's what I'm just saying, is
Yeah.
that, say 3 days and then with extended, with concurrence of the chief and the
Yeah.
commission chair.
Yeah, because then they'd have a week with the vacation, with the weekend in there and everything, and
So how many days do they get now for bereavement?
this would be the, like the chief and that, it'd be,
Yeah.
they'd get the 3 days.
And so if you
If
want
it's in
to,
there, I wonder if it's even in there, the bereavement, the chief. The 3
See,
days.
now that you're asking this, I really wish I brought the book
Whole
with
thing,
me.
yeah, yeah. Because that should be 3 days where, like the paid staff, the, you know, paramedics, that's, they get 1 day. Because that's 3 actual,
Yeah, I
Shifts.
thought the way it was listed was
Per shift, I
was
think
fair
shift.
to
Yeah.
everybody that.
Yeah, but they take 24 hours off
We
yep,
had a
And
whole
they're-
week.
and they're,
like the whole week.
yeah.
Yeah,
Over.
that whole week.
So 24 hours equates to 3 days for an 8
Right.
hour.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, that's really hard to see. I've never really seen it. Never really heard of this in any line.
Yeah, I had
Oh, yeah.
in my policies hadn't seen anything where you had a limit as to how many bereavement. It would be just that sick leave may be used as bereavement leave at the maybe the better way to go would be to at the discretion of the chief and commission chair rather than put a specific limit on it.
I'd still say do the 3 days with, I mean, you know, right now I refer everything, you know, the state has everything delineated down, you know, there's a very clear definition of who you can use it for.
Right.
Right.
You know, and again, you're,
If we give them 3 days now, if you give them 2 more days, and you got a weekend, that's a week.
Yeah, yeah.
but you don't, don't have to. You
And,
give
and
them
then,
three,
and then if you have to, as you say, travel, that's at discretion of chief and
Yeah.
commissioner,
yeah.
so.
So you're kind of saying to
More than
go,
a week.
you're saying to
Standard.
have this be 2 days and then
Bereavement pay
if
three.
more time needed, it's at the discretion of,
at the authorization, it is discretion, at the authorization of chief in
Okay, so I
consultation.
pulled up the bereavement leave policy.
Mm.
So it already says bargaining union members refer to the labor agreement. Non-representative regular scheduled employees who work 8 hour or less days may take up to 3 days of paid leave in the event of the death of a spouse, child, parent, brother, sister, grandparent, grandchild, mother, or father-in-law. Employees are asked to provide district with notice of the death and need for bereavement leave as soon as possible, so adequate coverage can be arranged. Where additional time off may be required, unused sick and/or vacation time may be used in conjunction with the bereavement leave. The request for additional time must be coordinated through a supervisor at the time that the bereavement leave is first made.
Yeah, so it's actually that sentence with no set day, it's all,
Yeah.
the
actually,
whole
if
thing
it-
is left between the.
to me, if it's already written in there, why rewrite it somewhere else?
Yeah, yeah,
Right, no, that sounds okay.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because you could just say sick leave may be used to extend bereavement leave.
yeah. Because you get
Per the
written,
bereavement leave
yeah, because you could get it written
policy.
in 2 different places and it
Yeah.
would be a,
Yeah.
yeah, better off
Just
just leave it
reference
like
the
that.
bereavement
Yeah,
leave
Policy.
Yeah.
Brings it back to that.
Yeah.
good thing you got that in your phone.
I think I left,
Digging around, I can make it happen.
in
Yeah.
my haste, I think I left my phone in the truck.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
So bring that back to us at the next meeting and we'll vote on that and the,
Yeah, so for this one, it's just gonna be the one, and I'll show the document that has all the changes in it.
okay,
But for now, what I've got here is just this one.
yeah.
okay, yeah,
We'll do sick leave and vacation and approval at the next
one,
meeting.
to make the changes talked about for both.
yeah.
Do we need to throw it by Dan before we do that, or?
Send it.
I mean, I can make the final changes and send it once more to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been
Make
in,
sure we're not missing something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So then we want to talk about oxygen contract with air gas.
yeah.
you can save that kind of money by signing the
What's that?
contract.
That ain't free.
I mean, I fell asleep a couple times in the middle of it.
Yeah,
All right, so what we have right now with air gas is just we have their tanks. They charge us. We have no agreement. As you can see by this paper here, so we're paying for the tanks that are on the ambulances 44 cents a day. For the one big tank that we use to fill our portable tanks that we carry with us, we're paying 46 cents a day. To fill the tanks on that are physically in the ambulance is $17.96. To fill the big tank, the one big tank in the station, is $55.96. So those are the numbers. In the top, you see that's last year roughly what we paid per their statements. It's hard to know exactly because I also just discovered that on our rentals we're being charged a hazmat charge for each month, which is weird to me. So I have to clarify what the hazmat charge for things we rent is
suppose
all
when
about.
they get to dispose of them.
I mean, maybe, who knows? But anyway, so I did some investigating because in January, when working through the financials and writing the checks, there was two, because we must have used a lot of oxygen that month, so we refilled a lot of tanks and the rental. So it was like a $400 a month for oxygen. And I was like, holy smokes, $5,000 in a year is a lot of money to pay on oxygen. So I called the company that I'm most familiar with was Badger Welding and got their pricing. And then somewhere along, I started asking questions of air gas, and they sent me to a corporate salesperson who then worked out these additional pricings. So basically, just by signing the contract, we're gonna save like $1,900 with just putting our name on the dotted line and locking into 3 years.
So are they gonna eliminate the hazmat charge, fuel charge? That's
All-
why it's not listed on there, I assume then.
Right, so the
Yeah.
$12.95 is a straight delivery charge, so there's no hazmat charge, no fuel charge on delivery. I guess I really didn't see the hazmat charge on the monthly bill till I paid it this month. And I've got a phone call in, but haven't gotten a phone call back, and this reminds me to find out why when we rent something, we have to also pay for a hazmat charge on something that sits in our building. Maybe we should charge them a hazmat charge in return that happens to be the same amount.
Storage.
Right, yeah. So, basically we're bringing this to say, I think that this 3-year contract with them is good for us as a service. Saving this amount of money is going to also allow us to use some of the savings that we actually unknowingly budgeted for, because I don't know when the last time we actually looked at oxygen pricing was. But we're going to be able to put a transfill system in for oxygen. What that is it's a tank system that allows us to keep our portable tanks at a higher oxygen percentage or pressure, so that there's more usable oxygen in our portable tanks. The system is a lot like what the fire departments use to fill their breathing air tanks. We're still renting those tanks daily, but what I discovered was that the tanks are fairly expensive to buy, and then once you buy them, you have the maintenance costs of them. And sometimes it's actually better just to pay the rental fees that they want to charge us.
And presumably they have a lifespan also, correct?
Right. They have 2 separate kind of lifespans that you have to go by. They have to be hydro tested every certain number of years depending on the type of tank, and they have an overall lifespan. So the aluminum tanks have to be hydroed every 5 years, and that's depending upon where you can get them done, anywhere between $25 and $50. And then their overall lifespan, depending upon the
Around 20.
15, 20, something like that. So I factored all of those things out to look at what might be best. If we stayed paying the same amount that we're paying right now, literally we could have bought a tank for each truck per month and still came out even. But then next year owned all these tanks, but at 11 cents a day.
How did Badger Welding compare? I'm just curious.
So Badger Welding doesn't rent the M60 is the tank we use. So and that's the one that's physically on the ambulance. What M60 means it's the M width, but it's half the height. So M60 carries 60 cubic feet of oxygen. Badger Welding doesn't rent those.
Okay.
Badger Welding only rents the Oxygen 125, which is M tank in width, but twice as tall, and steel. And what got the whole conversation going was Badger Welding actually had 3 tanks laying around that they ordered for somebody that canceled it. So they were going to sell us
Trying to
these three aluminum M tanks at their cost, which would have made a potential switch to M tanks inexpensive. But a switch to M tanks means a reconfiguration of some of the cabinets, and the M tanks themselves are about 20 pounds heavier than the M60s. So through a lot of discussion and investigation, we found that Airgas came back with these prices, and I don't think that we're going to find anywhere to beat them. And actually, some of these prices are better than what other people had. I actually reached out to Marshall and Cambridge and through Lisa to Oregon with these prices to say, hey, I mean, if you're not paying these prices, they're willing to give them to us. So
Yeah.
you probably should get these same prices and save yourselves some money as well. The transfill system, one thing I also kind of floated past, at least Scott and Marshall, was instead of him renting his portable tanks for 40 cents a day, you can buy those for like $65. And even if you, every 5 years, instead of hydro testing, discarded of them, he was also paying something like $18 a month to refill one of those tanks, which is, I forget how many cubic feet of oxygen are in a D tank, but it's not a lot. I said, if we make this work and you're willing, we could probably make an arrangement where we'll fill yours for $6 a fill or something like that. So then it helps us to defray the cost of the daily rental and the cost of the transfer system, but we're kind of collaborating with regard to that. To me, it always seemed funny that as an EMS system, we kind of put ourselves all on an island and didn't collaborate and find a way to save money with those expenses that we can't get away from.
Yeah, I think it's pretty darn good savings, really.
The only thing I don't
Main
like
thing
is
is-
their surcharge.
Yeah,
That covers anything.
yeah,
You can't do anything about that.
no,
Yeah, I mean,
It's their
the other
attorney
thing,
that wrote it, I'm sure.
yeah, oh,
the,
yeah.
the other thing that it's gonna help us out with is, right now, instead of incurring the delivery hazmat and fuel charges, Jerry's taking tanks there and swapping out and coming back, so that's gonna prevent him from either taking one of our vehicles there to do the swap, or his own, and allow him to have time to be able to focus on more important tasks than shuttling ambulance or oxygen tanks around.
Okay, need a motion?
Yep.
Yep.
Motion so moved to enter into this agreement with Airgas.
The motion, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion and a second to approve the contract with Airgas, 3-year contract. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Discuss and consider updating credit card limits. Go from 1,000 to 3.
This is actually what it is now.
Yes.
Yeah, we didn't make any changes
No
to it. We just
changes.
brought the credit card policy with us.
Oh, it's in.
Mandy and I, more like I initiated the conversation of where I came from in Sun Prairie. Almost every transaction is done via credit card. The reasoning for that is you get 2% cash back for the credit card transactions. And the only reason I would entertain in the discussion is the same reason. If we had some of our purchases that we could put onto the credit card and get 2% cash back from each of those transactions and find free money, why wouldn't we? I think the one thing that brought it up was we have a service contract for Stryker, which is our cots and cots and load systems, that this year is going to be about $3,000. Well, there's no reason why you don't just pay that with a credit card and then you get like $60 in return.
So,
Watch some places charge you a
Right.
charge.
Yep.
to Use a
Yeah.
credit
Yeah.
card, and so you have to be,
Right.
be aware of that.
Yep.
and Not do it in those
Correct.
situations. yeah.
So do the existing cards that you have offer that, or is that, you've gotta go out and shop that to a new company?
No, our current cards offer, we get a rebate, quarterly rebate,
Oh, yeah.
and we've got a credit card limit of $10,000 total
in total.
for the
In total.
3
And I-
cards, and you can manipulate that amongst the 3 cards.
Well, I can't, right now, how the policy reads is, it's 1,000 for him, 1,000 for Lisa, 3,000 on mine, and 1,000 for the office use only. To change those has to come through the commission to make the change. I think what I would suggest is not changing his limit, Lisa's limit, or mine, but to change the limit for the non-card account for the office use only account. So then it's not somebody's card that is in one of our wallets. So then I could do stuff like the Stryker and whatnot.
Yeah, because it'd be you paying the bills anyway, and
Is,
Actually, the state has the same thing, and so anything under $5,000, we're highly recommended to use the purchase card,
Oh, yeah.
because the state gets that.
2%
And,
back.
you know, you figure for the state and how many things.
Oh, yeah,
So, yeah, I have
so
a daily
is
$5,000 limit, so, yeah.
yeah.
the $3,000 amount enough?
Well, mine's currently at 3,000. What we're talking about is number 6 here, to up that one from 1,000 to,
For recurring budgeted expenses.
Would,
because like right now, things like Gordon Flesh go on there, Spectrum, Verizon, the Netflix, like those things recurringly are already on there. But with those, doesn't leave a whole lot of extra room if we wanted to do
Would-
additional things.
would it work to move that 3,000 off the card that you have to that one that's only got 1,000?
Well, not
Or you need-
necessarily because things come up where we use
Yeah.
my card, you know, like Wendy was buying some uniform things.
Oh, yeah.
And I had
QuickBooks
reset my limit to
Yeah.
$3,000 and it was only at 2 and I
So-
ran out of space and had to quick run in and,
Yeah.
Yeah, so really what you're saying, we'd probably be better off raising the
6.
limit from 10,000 to
No.
15,000?
No.
no.
Leave that number alone.
Oh, okay, leave that number,
Number
It's
okay.
just number 6.
Just number 6,
Shifting
okay.
shifting the dollars.
Okay,
And you don't
okay.
even have to
Don't even have
shift
to
any
shift
dollars because we have
10.
10,000 and right now we're only
Using
only use
5.
five.
6.
6?
3, 4, 5, and
Yeah,
6.
Yeah.
6.
Put that other,
4 to the office.
yeah,
That would be
That's what
my
you're saying, yeah.
recommendation.
I see what you're saying. is
Yeah.
We're not utilizing the whole 10 grand.
yeah, that's what I thought, that's what we'd have to raise that
Because-
Yeah,
10
When it was
grand.
set up,
plus
we could
the-
always
Yeah.
move that
yeah.
Yeah,
From
wherever
one card
we
to
needed
another.
it to what card.
yeah,
So maybe I would say add, instead of the full 4,000, I would say maybe 3 to bump the office use up to 4, so we still have 1,000 to move around between cards if needed.
okay.
You know, I guess that would be my suggestion.
And obviously, the benefit is, like you said, is that we're getting a rebate now, cash back.
Yeah, cash back, yeah.
Yeah.
WIMSA was always a case that we were always over on the cards.
Cards, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, we can, you know, and that's why I say if we leave the grant available, then for number 7, letter B, this is where, you know, the chairperson can give the temporary increase if we needed to Eric's card or my card or Lisa's card if needed
Yep.
for a month.
And where does that income show up on the monthly report?
Yeah,
It would be under deposits because it goes directly into our account at Bank of Deerfield.
oh, okay.
It's a direct ACH. It's not every month, it's
It's
quarterly,
quarterly,
I
yep.
think it is.
Yeah, so,
I'll make a motion to move the non-card account limit to 4,000.
I'll second that.
No,
That's the right account, right? They're the right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's right, yeah.
So we're bumping it up 3.
Yep,
I thought we only wanted to go 3, so you still had 1,000 to move.
There's
No,
still-
because
there's
this
still
will
would be-
get us to
That-
9,000 in
Yeah,
total.
That is-
there still would be
Right.
1,000.
So
We're
we're still under
gonna bump it
10,000.
from 1,000 to
Yeah,
4,000.
okay.
Yeah, we'll be,
So adding
yeah,
3,000.
just be bumping it up 3,000, so it'll be 1,000 left. Okay,
Okay, there was a motion. Is there a second?
yeah, I second it. Yeah.
Motion is second to raise the non-card account credit limit to $4,000. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried.
So then, Eric, you change your revision date and the name.
Wisconsin Alzheimer's Institute.
Well, we kind of discussed it already.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Back to more so about policy and procedure. My understanding was that there was a committee that maybe had been formed to review policy and procedure in the past.
No,
No.
because
Not
are
in-
these guys gonna know?
Yeah, not in commission end.
Okay. Well, because
'Cause-
there are some that, I mean, 2017 is not terribly old,
Yeah.
but about every 2 to 3 years we should be reviewing all of our policies and procedures and updating them. So, would you prefer that as we find things, for instance, with the rollout of our new email platform, our current policy says that our membership will provide me with their
Address.
passwords. Well, I don't want their passwords.
Well,
And for some things, technically, I can't have their passwords. So,
how many policies are there?
numbered total, probably somewhere between 40 and 50 is my guess, between some of the stuff in
So
the
I would
handbook.
suggest that you start with number 1,
Yeah.
being that you're a new chief. And I mean, and every month, work with your
Do a
group
couple.
Yeah.
and do 3, 4 a month or something. And, yeah, I mean,
Have
it's
an
just.
officers meeting, sit down and just go through.
Yeah, no, that's
Because
what I was
some of them
looking
you
at.
might
Is
look
the-
at and say, this is fine, but I would still then check, just like here, that it was.
Yep.
Yep. updated at a certain date.
And then just every periodically, you could, when you do it, bring the group, you know,
The changes to us.
Yeah.
yeah.
That is exactly how my mind thought it was gonna go.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Agenda items for next commission meeting on 3/21 in Cottage Grove.
Well, there'd be the, there'd be the,
Glad we got that clarified.
yeah. If bring back the, time off and the sick one, right? Time off and the
Yep.
sick. Back.
And then the usual stuff,
Yep, usual stuff,
1 through 8.
yeah.
And Greg, I will not be at that meeting.
Oh, really?
That's the conference.
Oh, where's that at?
That's what you said.
That's the,
Dell's.
Oh, okay, the does, okay.
Like, unless there's lots of conferences going on all over the place this year. It seems Kalahari must have made a big push with their new stuff to host a lot of things. So
No, they're just set up for it.
I need to adjourn. Yeah, go for it.
Motion to adjourn.
She's arguing.
I'll
this.
second it.
there's a motion and a second. It's non-debatable. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried.
Another,
Thanks.
next
Thank you.
year,
Like, you guys
there'll be
can talk about
twice.
it all.